Hello and good morning, Gary Champion, Psychic Medium. Um, I don't know if that's good or not. We're getting these stimulus checks, and from the very beginning, I was told that these are really not for your benefit. I know it sounds strange, but it's a way of keeping a lid on a lid that's going to blow off. That's why there'll be two or three more of these. I think some of them will be less, maybe one might be more, I'm not sure. But when you cut off the income of many millions of people, this is what happens. Um, and we're already having it, as I predicted, food fights, little mini riots. Um, Sort of disinterested. A lot of people are just disinterested in everything. They want to be spoon fed, or they think they're owed something. And the economy has proven that that's just not true. There just aren't available jobs for people who really want to work, and the country's full of them. Um, I don't know what they're going to do for housing. I don't know what they're going to do for food. I don't know what they're going to do for travel and gas money and children. Schooling has come apart. Mostly it's done online now. I think by the fall you'll see something different. There'll be something modified in the way that they'll get back to classrooms. Classrooms will not be full. A lot of people will be doing homeschooling or choose to take alternative methods of education online. Little mini schools will open up in people's homes and backyards to homeschool people rather than send them to school. And I said in the beginning there were three waves of this virus that I could see. The first one came through. There's another one, then there's another one. So we're in the middle of the first one. And of course, there are going to be a lot of factions. People are going to break up into groups where this group feels disenfranchised, so they'll join that group. It's almost, we have it now, but it's not visible. And they're maybe not aware, but whatever group you fall into, that's the group you'll gravitate toward. And there'll be clubs or little, I don't want to say gangs, but it's something totally, totally different. The rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. There's the gap that's there is now it's this. When I was a kid, it wasn't that big a deal. Everybody had a job. Incomes were fairly comparable. Unless you were in the professions, you made a lot more. Now it's grown to this, now it's grown to that. And I don't want to say it's a bad thing, because it's if you started off in this country and gave everybody the same piece of land and the same amount of money and the same car and all that stuff, eventually it all ends up in the same hands anyway. It's just the nature of things. People are weak. They let people take their money. They don't, and these people have a callous disregard for anybody that they think is less than they are. So giving everybody, splitting everybody into the same, giving everybody the same thing would, we'd end up right back here, right where we're at now. We've been going that way since the nation was begun, and we're continuing that way. This virus just sort of gives a little butt kick. Also, there are indications, my guys are saying, that the certain lives are going to be shorter, and this is part of that genetic damage thing that I talked about. I don't know how many videos ago, and got questions about it. Well, I didn't know what it was about. Just that genetic damage would occur. I hear words. I don't necessarily understand them, but now that it's going to cut life short, because if you have this, your offspring will be less able to do genetic damage to fend for themselves. So it's pretty powerful, whatever this is. And if you manage to catch it 2 or 3 times, it'll be worse. I think most will catch it once, it'll blow through. The second one, since we'll have some antibodies, this second one is morphed. It's mutated, as one of my viewers told me. I couldn't think of the word in a video one day. She said mutate. That's what it's doing. It's mutated already, and it's mutating all the time. And there's many sort of strains of it now. There's going to be 3 that are pretty definable, and then little offshoots that there's no point in defining them. There's too many of them. And it's survival of the fittest. That's what we're back down to. Caveman days. Person who has the best immune system is going to survive this and live to have children that reproduce, that are strong and wealthy. Interesting, isn't it? Actually, there's less to give everybody, because the more people, I don't know how many billion people are on the planet, but when that number goes up, everybody's cut of the pie is less. This is a natural thing. And those who are not very smart, who get a pretty good cut of the pie, are going to lose it to somebody else. Sort of de-evolution in a way. There's a miracle drug cure coming, but it's going to be short-lived. I believe it'll produce some pretty good results, but this virus will go past it. They're not going to be able to make vaccines of a sufficient supply and quantity in all the different strains that there are. I mean, how many of these shots can you get? They do help. Those of you who are anti-vaxxers, I have nothing against you at all. That's your right to not take a shot. But Mrs. Brown down here, who has a kid, she didn't want him catching it. So if everybody's not vaccinated, kind of turns into a mess. But I think they're going to pass laws where everybody has to be vaccinated or not go to school or these kind of things. It's part of the division. People will keep their kids at home. They'll homeschool them. They'll fewer jobs. Millions of businesses are. It'll start a few here and a few there. It's already happening, and they just can't survive after this big a hit. And people are now scared, and that doesn't go away. If you go into a store, please wear a mask, because people are taking offense at that. As I was in the store the other day, we put masks on, and you could hear, I could hear the person in front of me saying, well, that person didn't have it. I'm going to call somebody and report them. I thought, oh man. And then they changed their mind, like real quick, like that just get me in trouble. But you're likely to get in trouble if you don't wear a mask. I don't know how good they are, but I know they do some. They do help some. And the better the mask, the better the protection. These N95s or whatever they call them, they're pretty good. And anybody flying on an airplane, every nurse should have one when they go in to treat these patients, and they don't. And that's why a lot of them are quitting or being furloughed with or without pay. And what's the duty of a nurse? They take an oath, but that doesn't extend past death. Their exposure to death and dying, leaving their family without, they may be the only wage earner right now. So their health's doubly important. And should they be risking their health for someone because somebody didn't make masks and get them out there? Now, they're going to be just as important in the future as they are now. Little side note to that, there'll be a few more robberies because everybody's got a mask on. Isn't that interesting? Proposal of marriage will increase. That's strange. I would think it would decrease. Oh, there'll be an influx, there'll be an increase in the number of people wanting to get married. There'll be online things to get married by, virtual, kind of like Skype or something like that, or Zoom or FaceTime, WhatsApp. I want to give them all equal. I don't want one of these companies to call me and say, you didn't mention us. Increased marriage proposals. That's strange. I would have thought the opposite. And some of it is spurred by the people who have insurance. And these are not all legitimate marriages. Just that's kind of what's going on now. People are marrying people because they need to give them insurance to survive. They have it. This person's lost their job. I'll marry this person. It's not a de facto marriage. It's not. It's not real. But some of these will turn into really good marriages, despite them not wanting to be married because they'll grow closer. They'll be in a house together, an apartment together, and they'll just grow to love each other. So it's very strange. I would have thought to be saying more marriage proposal as a necessity to survive, to get what's needed to live. Friends will marry friends to keep them from dying of something they don't have insurance for. That's a good friend. Of course, and some of these turn into really, really good marriages, and some of them don't. Proof will be needed. Someone's saying they're going to need documented proof before they can get this insurance and things. Increase in marriage proposals. That's just got me. I think that's been going down for a long time. Fewer marriages. Maybe it will be like the hippies and live in communes and have free sex. Anyway, I think that's enough damage today. I wish I could say something good, but life is good if you're living right now. These are extraordinary times. These are extraordinary times. We're not going to see the likes of this. I'm not going to. They're extraordinary times. And people are reaching out to help people. People are reaching out to hurt people. People are bigoted and angry. Where's my piece of the pie? But I see people reaching out to help people. It's a good and bad. Anyway, the future is quite promising. It's all that gloom and doom stuff. Someone's saying the future is quite promising. It's going to gain momentum. You know, it'll slowly kind of will rebuild, and we'll just virtual stores online, brick and mortar, where you go down, park in front, and go in and buy. Most of those will be a thing of the past. Be a lot of empty buildings. Guys who are entrepreneurs will open up little shops in those and begin to make things like masks and all kinds of things and the economy will pick up and they'll start going again. So empty buildings, don't let that bother you. They're not going to be able to rent them out. They'll rent them out for less. But entrepreneurs, people who think they have an idea, and startup companies will become family businesses again. No fear, no regret, no anger. I don't think I'm going to finish this. I think I'm going to tell you that I have a new class that I'm offering. Because they just told me, don't forget to tell about your thing. I'm offering a new thing called Psychic Stand Up. And people will hire me to come into their house and give an hour, sort of a funny connection to the other side. I'll ask for items from the audience. I'll rub them. I'll read them. You've seen me do it. There'll be some humor in it. It'll be comedy. And then at some point, I'll offer this as at a comedy store. I'll go down, or a comedy club. I'll go down and perform it in 5-minute segments, a couple of nights a week. So they're saying this ties in with what I was talking about. Less money in the job you have, inventive people, and I consider myself one of those, although I don't know where it comes from the other side. We'll find ways. They'll find some way to be happy, be creative, productive, and this is my way. I'm a little advanced on it. I mean, I've been thinking about it for actually a couple of years, but actually it's on my website now. It's just called Psychic Stand Up. And it's a lot of information on there. If you're interested in it, it's on there. And I will travel a certain distance to do it. So it fits into the idea of it doesn't matter what country you're from. people who have not had a chance are going to get one. Those who have been pushed around, taken advantage of, new opportunities, new jobs, new ways of making a living, but you got to get off your ass to do it. I started to say but I think ass is appropriate. Those of you who have had this little idea in the back of your mind working, gee, if I had a garage, if I had a shop, I could repair radiators, or I could do something. I could create things. I could manufacture something. I could hire 9 or 10 other people. We can make dresses in there and sell them locally. People who have that idea and a little bit of money will be the heroes of the future, allowing that the people that come behind them, their children, have something. It's very interesting stuff, isn't it? Buying stocks is hazard and will be for a long time. Some companies will recover. A lot of big ones just won't. They're kind of bloated anyway. Prices will come down because they'll have to. In order to sell or rent a building, the price will have to go down. I guess I'm babbling. I'm known for that. Get over it. No fear, no regret, no anger. Thanks for watching.